Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. On the behalf of entire team of Gelecta, I hope that you are doing well and having fun in your life. As I'm watching that Bill Sender, Asim, Binod, Gelecta ID, Rida and Jeshan Rana, you are present in my class. I will try to make it memorable and you will enjoy in this class. Today, we are taking the very important topic, that is metal and non-metal. Actually, it is very small topic, but highly important topic. It is in your second chapter, that is the periodic table. Definitely you will enjoy this lecture. So let us start without the waste of time. Before to start the lecture, the most important thing that what we are going to learn means after this class, you would give the answer, you will be able to give the answer of few very important questions which are related to the metal and non-metal. And if you have any doubt, you can ask through the comment box, and after the lecture, just after the lecture, I will give you permission. You can on your mic and you can ask, you can talk to me, anything. And someone is asking that, is it for all boards? Yes, it is for all boards. Either it is Aqua, Excel or others. It is for all. Each and everything is available on this platform. So let us start with the learning objective, my dear students. The learning objectives, that how metal and non-metals differ and what is their position in the periodic table. You will be able to give the answer of this question after this lecture. The second, why the metal are so important in our daily life. What is their role? Actually, there is no single day you spend without the using of metal in your daily life. Which metal is a good conductor of heat and electricity? Definitely you will be able to answer this question. Before to start the lecture, I have a small video for you, so please just have a look. What you have seen, that some workers, they are working in a factory and they are using the hammer to change the shape of the iron metal. It means the metals, we can change the shape of the metals, we can convert the metal into the thin sheet or into the wire. So we'll discuss about this important properties of the metals. Metals, what is the metal? The question is, what is the metal? Actually, if you have idea about the periodic table, modern periodic table especially, not the Mendeleev periodic table, there is 118 element present in this periodic table, and 3/4 part of the periodic table is filled by the metals, and they are located in the corner in the right side of the periodic table. So metal in their pure state have a shining surface. This property is called metallic luster. But I think you are using the ornaments, they are not shine all the time, because the metal are highly reactive. They easily react with the water, they easily react with the oxygen, they make oxide and hydroxide. That's why we see the dull after some times. But if you will rub them, they will produce the shining. Next is, you will find that some metals can be beaten into thin sheet, as you are watching in the video. This property is called malleability. Did you know that gold and silver, they are most malleable metal, and they are also the good conductor of heat and electricity. And the next point, the ability of metal to be drawn into thin sheet wire is called ductility. You know that gold is most ductile substance, more ductile metals. The 1 gram weight of the silver metal, we can change it into a thin wire of 2 meters long. It is surprise. Next point about the metal, that is, metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. We can check this using an experiment. You know that science, especially chemistry, does not believe on the statement that someone says, okay, this metal was in this year, it is history. But science believe on experiment and observations. So you can check that metals are good conductor of heat and electricity or not. So if we are doing a simple experiment that we heat the metal rod from one side, the heat will transfer to another side spontaneously, and it proved that yes, metal, they are good conductor of heat. Second, lead and mercury. Actually, exception is everywhere, and definitely there are more exceptions in the chemistry. Lead and mercury are comparatively poor conductor of heat. You can check. This is another experiment. If we try to heat the glass rod as well as the metal rod simultaneously, the metal rod will transfer the heat fastly and you can feel it through the hand. All metals except mercury exist as solid at room temperature. Mercury is only one metal which is found in liquid state at room temperature, and that is used in thermometers, you know well. Metals have high melting point, but gallium and cesium, there are two metals, gallium and cesium, if we keep them on our palm, they melt easily. You can see in the small picture. If we are taking the gallium or we are touching the gallium, that it start melting due to the temperature of our body. Iodine is not metal. That is a known metal, but it have little properties of the metal because it is also luster. Actually, iodine is non-metal, which is volatile solid, but that show the one property of the metal, that is luster. It is the same video in which you have seen that worker is changing the shape of the iron metal. You will be surprised that I'm telling you the iron is a very soft metal, but in your life you are seeing that iron is the hardest metal. Actually mix some impurities into the iron or in other metals to make them useful according to the situation. Your ornaments, you are using the silver, you are using the gold, all these are very soft, but we are mixing some impurities. When we mix some impurities into the metal, that is called the alloys. You can see the four example is steel, bronze metal, all these are the alloy, means homogeneous mixture of two or more than two metal. You see the beautiful picture, metal and non-metal. Actually they are friends. Metal means metal always wants to release electron and it wants to get stability, but where it will release, that someone should be there who will accept this electron. So non-metal, they always looking for the electron because they are electron deficient. They are electron rich also. They want to accept the electron. When metal come in contact with non-metal, they're ready to make the friendship due to the attraction, and this attraction is known as the ionic force. So metal and non-metal, metal release electron, convert into positive, while non-metal accept electron that convert into negative, they make ionic bond. When we dissolve this ionic substance like NaCl into aqueous solution, and if we pass the electricity through this solution, then they will dissociate into the ions, and after releasing electron, they will come back to the original state, that is metal and the non-metal. And that time they are not happy. You can see in the figure, the next figure, when we pass the electricity which dissociate the ionic bond and that separate the metal, non-metal, it means ionic bond dissociate. Now have a look, the beautiful picture, the backbone of inorganic chemistry. It is a modern periodic table which is based on atomic number. There are 118 elements present in it, but very few elements are metalloids. Only seven elements are considered as metalloids. You can see metalloids is the boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, that is Sb, tellurium, polonium. These are metalloid present in the p block diagonally which separate the metal from non-metal. This side, the rest element, they are known metal. These are the known metal. And the rest element present from hydrogen to this zinc, aluminium, gallium, tin, bismuth, lawrencium, all these are the metals, and these are also known as metal. Actually, these two separate horizontal lines which are present at the bottom side of the main periodic table, they are known as lanthanoid and actinoid. Lanthanoid and actinoid. The very important question for your GCSE exam, that lanthanoid start from the atomic number 58. You see, the first element of the lanthanoid, that is cerium, that is atomic number 58, not lanthanum. Why we call them lanthanum? Because they start from the lanthanum, and the exact situation of the lanthanum is here, atomic number 57. And it is called actinoid series. It is these 14 elements from the lanthanoid and actinoid series total become 28. These are also called metals. Derived from actinium atomic number 89, hence we call them actinoids. So all these are metals. They are very useful. They play an important role in our daily life. Somehow we use either in form of metal, either in form of alloys. Everywhere you use it. Now let us discuss about some important metal, like we have copper, we have silver, we have gold. These three metals, these are very important and precious metal. In the medieval period of the history, the many kings, they were using these alloys for the making of their currency. So these are commonly known as coinage metal. Like PT, the very important metal, that is also known as noble metal. Actually, this lecture is theoretical part, that is non-numerical. So you have to learn, and I'm trying to make it more useful and memorable for you. If you have any doubt, you can ask in between the lecture, and just finish this lecture. I will give you permission to on your mic. You can talk to me after the lecture. So PT is only single metal, that is called noble metal. Why we call it noble metal? You know that these are noble gases because they does not react with any element because of complete octet. Similarly, platinum, showing the exceptional electronic configuration, it does not react with oxygen, neither oxygen nor fluorine. The oxygen and fluorine, they are more electron rich, you can say highly electron rich. There is no metal which can deny it to the fluorine and oxygen. Oh, I'm not reacting with it, but only platinum is there. Most of the elements which are present from scandium to zinc and at the bottom side, they are highly reactive. Most of the transition element, they are used in various catalysts, in the formation of various catalysts which are used in various chemical reactions to initiate the rate. Either they accelerate the rate of reaction or they make down the rate of reaction, they decrease the rate of reaction. For example, manganese metal. Manganese, it is strong oxidizing agent in form of potassium permanganate. Potassium dichromate, when chromium may compound with K and oxygen, that K2Cr2O7, there is strong oxidizing agent. V in form of vanadium pentoxide, V2O5, that act as strong oxidizing agent. And very few metals from the D block, actually it is called the D block. Your periodic table mainly divide into the 18 vertical column, they are called group. 18 vertical column, they are called group. And 7 horizontal lines. 7 horizontal lines are also present there, and they combine, they make the complete periodic table. They are known as period. They are known as period. So D block element, in the first 2 group, they are known as S block. Last 6 group from 12 to 18, they are known as the P block element. And at the bottom side, 2 horizontal lines, they are combinedly known as F block element. So most of the D block element, they show the variable oxidation state, and hence they are used in various chemical reaction in form of catalyst. And they are also useful for the formation of many alloys, like the very important question I'm telling you now. See, this metal, What is name of this metal? Can you tell me? W for? Asim?
Tungsten.
Tungsten, yeah. Tungsten is the single one metal having highest melting point. That's why it is used as a filament in the bulb or electric devices. And if someone asks question to you that the element, tell the name of element which has highest melting point, that is the carbon. If I discuss about the element, then it is the carbon. If I ask about the metal highest melting point, that is tungsten. Okay, now let's move for the next step. You see, especially D block element. Actually, out of all the metals, D block element are highly important. D block metal especially. Zinc, cadmium, mercury, they are used as a catalyst, reducing catalyst. Reducing means the substance which acts as reducing, it acts as reducing because itself it acts as oxidizing. Suppose I'm giving you something from my pocket, so I'm better for you, but for me I'm not doing well, except this glass. Okay. Now see, the total 7 elements, these are known as metalloids, which has property of the metal as well as non-metal, and these are present diagonally at the right side of the periodic table in diagonal form, which separate the metal from non-metal. These elements with the properties intermediate between those of metals and non-metals are called metalloids. You see, now the time to discuss about the non-metal. Otherwise, non-metal will not appear. Okay, you are discussing about the metal and metal, where I am. So let's discuss about the non-metal. The non-metals are carbon, sulfur, iodine. You know that most of the non-metals, they are present in gaseous form. All the inert gases you see in this figure, I'm going back to show you the non-metals. Nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, and with the hydrogen, when hydrogen make H- hydride. These are gases. Total number of gaseous elements present in our periodic table, that is 11, and all the 11 gaseous elements, they are non-metal. While iodine, that is also non-metal, that is volatile solid. Bromine, that is present in liquid form. So there are only 2 elements which is present in the liquid form. One from the non-metal, that is bromine. One from the metal, that is mercury. Now let's move forward, and we are coming to the same slide. Yeah. Carbon is a non-metal that can exist in allotropic form, diamond and graphite. You know what do you mean by the allotropic form? Actually, when an element has tendency to exist in various form, that is called the allotropic form. Suppose if I discuss about you specifically, you are brother, you are son, you exist in different relation. So that is called the allotropic form of you. Similarly, phosphorus that exists in red phosphorus, black phosphorus, white phosphorus. There is nothing about the phosphorus. If you will say, okay, I'm going to purchase the phosphorus, you will not get the phosphorus. You have to ask, okay, please give me that phosphorus, black phosphorus, white phosphorus. Similarly for the sulfur, sulfur exists in rhomboic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur, hexagonal sulfur. So all these are called the allotropic form of the carbon. Carbon actually exists in 3 allotropic form. Diamond graphite is the most important, and the one is Buckman-Fullerstein. We will not discuss about that allotropic form here because that is in your A-level chemistry. We will discuss about that particularly with the properties in the next classes. So, and the carbon, you know that metal are the good conductor of heat and electricity, while non-metal does not conduct electricity. But the graphite form, allotropic form of the carbon, that conduct electricity. The reason is that there is a free extra electron available with the graphite. Its hybridization is sp2. That's why the free electron helps to transfer the electricity from one point to another. We can check and we can perform a very simple experiment you see in the small picture, we can use the pencil, simple pencil, lead pencil. The lead is the graphite. If you touch one end of this lead pencil with the help of wire, that will help to transfer the electricity through this. And you can check if you make a complete circuit. Another end also you touch with the wire, which help to transfer the electricity. You can check easily. And you can see in this picture. These are the non-metals. So you can count the number of non-metal. A non-metal is typically dull in the poor conductor of electricity and heat. Solid non-metal are also brittle. Now, we are moving for the summary of this lecture, what we have learned. The element can be broadly divided into metal, non-metal, and metalloids. Metals are located on the left side of the periodic table in the corner. Diagonally, elements, that is metalloid, which separate non-metal from the metals. We can call them semi-metal also. Metal are luster, ductile, good conductor of heat and electricity, etc. Alkali metal like lithium, sodium, potassium, they are very soft and they can be cut with the help of edge of knife, and they are also highly reactive. Suppose by mistake if we take a very small piece of the sodium, you know that sodium always we keep in kerosene oil to make it protect from the air or moisture. If it will come in contact with the moisture, it will catch fire and it will make hydroxide. So as we move top to bottom in the group, alkali metal, especially from the lithium, the reactivity increase. Means sodium will catch fire. Similarly, potassium also, and cesium aggressively, it will catch the fire. It was complete. Oh, yeah, very good. They are denying, yes, I'm complete also. I'm complete also. Now, let's move. See this picture. Actually, Mr. Bean, you know very well, Mr. Bean is present right now in the examination hall. What he learned during the lecture. Actually, Mr. Bean not joined me. That's why he's facing the problem. Oh, he's trying to copy. And oh, the question paper was very hard. And I left the metal. I bunk during the class metal, and when sir was teaching metal and non-metal to me. Now you can ask any question. If you have any doubts, you can ask through the comment box or you can on your mic. I'm giving you time. Asim, Bill Cinder, Binod, Francisco, Selector from the head office. Okay. Rida, Jason and Rida again. Please. If you have any doubt regarding the metal and non-metal, you can ask without any hesitation. I'm here for you. And after the lecture, we are arranging some notes for you. You can download the notes related to the metal, non-metal from our website. The Bill sir will explain about this procedure at the end of this lecture. Okay. Rida is asking who invited the very first periodic table, the very complicated question. Actually, there was more than 50 elements in the 18th century, and it was very difficult to study them in a sequence. So the Newland, first time he tried to manage them on the basis of atomic masses, but he failed because it was not in sequence. And after Newland, after Daubeney trace, actually it was Daubeney. After Daubeney, then Newland tried to make them in a proper sequence. Then Lothermeyer, then Mendeleev, and now this is a modern periodic table, and it is a controversy question still now that someone says the Niels Bohr and his co-workers invent or produce this modern periodic table. Actually, I have written this question, this answer in my book also, that Niels Bohr and his co-workers, but some scientists, they said that Mendeleev, the credit goes to Mendeleev, so it is a controversy question still now. Okay, now you can ask more question, please. I'm waiting you, please. You can ask, you can talk to me. Jishan, Clear to you? Okay, I think clear. Now let's move for the question answer. What you have learned, let me check. Okay, okay, I give the solution of this. Where lithium is located in the periodic table? Lithium is located in this 1, 2, that's second period and first group. Now, provide elemental name for the following combinations. The alkali metals which catch fire when dipped in water. Option is given to you. Sodium, either potassium or cesium, or combinedly sodium, potassium and cesium. Please. For first one, the alkali metal which catch fire when dipped in water. Can you give me the answer? Potassium, not only potassium. Sodium also catch the fire, potassium also catch the fire, and cesium catch fire aggressively. So combinedly, sodium, potassium and cesium, because alkali metals, they are highly reactive toward moisture. The next question, the halogen in liquid state. You know that halogens are fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine, and astatine also. Okay. Okay. Okay, Jishan, thank you very much for joining me. That is bromine. Bromine present in liquid state, iodine present in the volatile solid state, while fluorine and chlorine, that is present in gaseous state. Very good, you are giving answer. The third one is a metalloid which is used in computer chip. I'm giving you hint. The yeah, pardon? Silicon, absolutely right. That is silicon. Silicon used in computer chip. And the name, the non-metal which is capable to conduct electricity. Very simple. Yeah, graphite. Only Binod is giving answer. Thank you very much, Binod. And let's proceed for the next question. Based on its position in the periodic table, classify each element below as metal, non-metal and metalloid. Very simple question I'm giving you. Tell me that nitrogen is metal, non-metal or metalloid? Nitrogen is non-metal. Magnesium is metal. Actually, magnesium is a very important metal that acts as central atom in the green pigment of plant, that is chlorophyll. Like iron is present in your blood, in your hemoglobin, and like cobalt, which is central metal of vitamin B12, similarly the magnesium acts as central atom in green pigment of the plant. In germanium, that is metalloid. You are giving answer, thank you very much. Now let's move for the next question. That is the elements of the second period. The elements of the second period of the periodic table are given below. Okay, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and fluorine. The first question, which element acts as semiconductor? Very simple question. Which acts as semiconductor? Actually group 14, you know that boron, that belong to group 13, that belong to group 14, nitrogen belong to group 15. So the group 14 element like carbon, silicon, germanium, etc., all these act as semiconductor. Identify the most metallic. My dear students, metallic conductor decrease as we move left to right in the periodic table. So the element which is present at the left side of the periodic table, that is most metallic in nature. That is the lithium, because lithium atomic number, that is 3. And you know the atomic number means having the number of proton, total number of proton. Beryllium is 4, boron is 5, carbon is 6, nitrogen is 7, oxygen is 8, and fluorine is 9. And the non-metallic, that is non-metallic element, that is fluorine. Now let's move for the next. Yes. See this table. There are 3 elements A, B, C respectively. The position of 3 elements A, B and C in the periodic table is shown. Question carry 3 marks. Giving reason, explain the following. Element A is non-metal. So what is the name of this element A? It is present in group 17. You know that total 18 groups are present in our periodic table. 17 group that is reserved especially for halogen elements. And there is a space, after the helium there is a space here that is vacant. So here the first one is, in first one it is vacant space, here the space is reserved for fluorine. A is non-metal, yeah, A is non-metal and that is fluorine. Atom of element C has a larger size than atom of element A, yeah, obviously. Size increased left to right in periodic table. See, suppose we have boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and fluorine. As we move left to right in the periodic table, here it is boron atomic number 5, carbon is 6, nitrogen is 7, oxygen is 8 and fluorine is 9. As we move left to right, the number of electron increase in same cell. Like boron, we can categorize 5 electron into 2, 3 and 2, 4. Actually it is electronic configuration, I think you know it. 2 and 5, oxygen 2, 6. You see there are 2 cells, but number of electron increasing continuously in the last cell, hence effective nuclear charge increase. What is effective nuclear charge? You know that proton present inside of the nucleus. Electron, they revolve around this nucleus in a fixed circular path, that is called cell. And it is neutral. Why it is neutral? Because proton carry equal positive charge, electron carry equal negative charge. As the number of electron increase, obviously number of proton increase inside of the nucleus, hence effective nuclear charge increase. So due to effective nuclear charge, radius decrease continuously left to right in the periodic table. Next is element B has a valency of 1. Can you tell me the name of element which is present here, where is B is located? Anyone? Hydrogen. It is first group and first period, that is for hydrogen, which is not clear yet now. It is a controversy about the location, about the position of the hydrogen, that some scientists, they want to adjust it with the halogen, while some scientists, they are putting it with the alkali metals. Now, here is answer. Next, correctly match. It's the last question. Correctly match the given column. Carry 4 marks. Please be attentive. Can you tell me the total number of gaseous element? I will give you the option. Lanthanoids element start from the atomic number. Manleaf periodic table is based on, I will give you 2 choice. The metal having highest melting point, giving you option for the first one. Total number of gaseous element present in the periodic table. Asim, Binod, Francisco, anyone? Rida? How many total gaseous elements are present in the periodic table? Yes? 11. 11. Count with me. All the inert gases, then oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, nitrogen and hydrogen. So total 18. Known metal, not henna. Yeah. B, about B. Lanthanoid element start from the atomic number. They start from 57 or 58 or 72, 73, yeah? 58. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, they start from 58, that is the cerium. Cerium. For C, Manleaf periodic table is based on atomic number or atomic mass? Atomic mass, my dear students, atomic mass. Only the modern periodic table is based on atomic number. The rest periodic table, they were based on atomic mass. And the metal having highest melting point, that is tungsten. Very good, very good. Tungsten. So just have a look, please. It is our strategy. This diagram is showing the strategy of Gelecta, as sir discussed about this in detail. And thank you very much for joining me. If you have any doubt, you can ask. And after that, I'm going to hand over all the things to a biology ma'am. She will teach you the biology. Okay, thank you very much.